All right, welcome to the Sunday Sitdown, PSA Sunday Sitdown. This is episode 2. We've got Andrew Verda here, co-founder, CEO, Alto Sierra, here to tell us about all the cool things that are going on with the company. I mean, you guys have been doing a lot of cool stuff. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Excited to be here.
It's going to be really fun. So I know that there's a lot of things that you're working on. I feel like the natural place to start, though, with all these sorts of interviews is, tell us about yourself. How did you get to become a co-founder, and running this a cloud seeding company? Because I doubt you said that when you were a kid that you wanted to grow up and run a cloud seeding company, right?
No, I want to be a firefighter, but it's close second. Close second, yeah. No, yeah. So, my name is Andrew Verda. My background's always been in mechanical engineering. I came to kind of started my career doing controls engineering. I was started at Rivian. And then from there, just kind of started exploring like, what do I like to do for work? At the end of the day, it's something I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. I'd like to enjoy it a little bit. And I loved my time at Rivian. I got an opportunity to come out west about almost 5 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago, and came out here. I was working in the CEC cloud compute industry. That was a lot of fun. It was a lot really fast paced. It was at the beginning of before AI was really in the boom, and we were building the stuff that eventually AI is built off of, which that was cool to see the background, the ins and outs of how everything worked. And then that's where the smaller kind of tech manufacturing exposure came from for me. After that, around the same time, I moved out west. What do you do out west? You go skiing. Had a bunch of colleagues that said, "Hey, you want to go skiing one day?" I was like, I've been once. I was 21. I've been skiing once, I'll go. Instantly fell in love. That first season I was out here, I skied 135 days, something like that. And yeah, each year was about the same amount of skiing. And I've skied almost over 100 days every year since living in Utah now. But it's been a lot of fun. And through that, met a lot of great people, had a lot of great opportunities. One of those was I got into the defense tech world. Started working with a company out here in Utah that was doing smart swarm drone AI-based software and manufacturing, and worked that. That's where I met our man Mike. Met Mike, and from there was history. But almost a year ago, this kind of idea popped up. We were skiing with some buddies one day, and one of them brought up it was a bleak year, and we could all agree this past season. Not as much snow as we might have wanted, but it was still a great year. Everyone got out. It was fun, friends on the hill. But it was very noticeable that our snowpack is going to take a hit this summer. And, we're all talking oh, what's causing it? We're all hypothesizing our no science-based ideas of why aren't we getting as much snow as last year as we did 2 years ago in the big year. It kind of just came to, what can we do to make more snow? What's out there? And someone mentioned cloud seeding, and everyone kind of was like, oh, well, cloud seeding, isn't that a bad thing? I've only ever associated it with something kind of scary or conspiracies, and they're like, oh no, cloud seeding's been around forever. It's almost 100 years or something. Sure enough, someone's got to fact check them. So if someone Googles it, and sure enough, cloud seeding's only been around for 80 years. Or it's been around for 80 years. And what's the negative to it? We're looking. We're not really finding a lot. And so I kind of went home that day, brewing on this idea of okay, well, if cloud seeding is just enhancing storms that already have snow, why isn't it happening more? So then I started going into this deep rabbit hole of Utah cloud seeding, the operations already going on, who's doing it, how are they doing it, how often are they doing it, and why isn't it on a larger scale? If this seems like something it can work, why aren't we doing it? The more we look into it, the more it's okay, well, ground-based generators, it's maybe not the most efficient deployment system. You got a generator on the ground, burning the silver iodine, or trying to get that atomized silver iodine agent up into that super cool pocket of liquid within the storm. There's a lot of factors the wind shift, it just doesn't hit its mark. It's a long way to travel. And then there's plane deployment systems, and that's really expensive, $5,000+ an hour. It's putting a human operator into harm's way. Okay, well, I work at a drone company. We put drones everywhere. Why can't we use drones? Look into that. Oh, there is somebody in the space doing drone deployed cloud seeding. Okay. They're rather new to the space as well, blah, blah, blah. Well, I think I can do it better. I think myself and I've got one name, one person in my head who I think we can do it better. Call Mike after I start to get like an operational plan around it, put a bunch of cash aside for it, and say, okay, well, like this is how it works. This is how we would do it. This is where we would do it. This is when we would do it. Blah blah blah. Get all the research done. Go to Mike. Hey, is this something you'd have interest in? Mike says, absolutely. Do this. Do this. Do this. Let's go run. Fast forward to now, we're full blown. We have operations coming up this winter, a couple third party research projects as well. We've got partnerships around the Western states with private resorts, public resorts. We're looking at expanding to multi state very soon. It's gone full circle, so it's really cool to see. Like a year ago, this was not a thought in my mind. 9 months ago, this was I wonder if that's something that's feasible, to where now it's full blown operational employees. We're out the door running, per se.
Awesome. Yeah. I don't know why, but I'm just picturing you sort of on the mountain doing like snow angels, looking up into the sky and be like,
Pretty
why
much
hasn't
what
it
it looked
snowing?
like. Yeah. It was all three of us just like,
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, and now what I heard from there is I won't see as many TikToks or Instagram reels this year about, how there's no snow out west, right? And everybody's
hey,
just
man.
upset because they're, they spend their spring break and they're going up the lift and you don't see any snow anywhere. Or there's like a little snow on that patch. So next
If
year
Mother
when there's snow
Nature's,
everywhere, we have you to thank,
yeah.
right?
Hey, if Mother Nature's aligned with us, we'll make it snow.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think what's cool about all this is it's a classic founder story, right? Like I'm sitting here thinking it's like, okay, if I had to summarize the last couple minutes, like you went skiing, you're like, why isn't it snowing? You're like, oh, I think I can make it snow more. And now a year later, you're raising money. You've got an actual company that's literally going to go out there and make it snow more. Have you always sort of had that entrepreneurial, spirit, or spirit might not be the right word, maybe, desire? Did you always want to run a company, versus saying, a company like Rivian where you could be a mechanical engineer and be happy the rest of your life, but maybe there's always something where it's like, oh, I want to go run my own company.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've never seen myself as like somebody that's going to go sit and work 45 years, retire, and, which that's definitely the life for some people. And like, it can be very rewarding. For me personally, I want to make an impact in some way. And that was something that I really like thought about the last 5 years, especially moving out here. I mean, I've had so many coming to God moments, out hiking in mountains, alone skiing by myself, and it's just like the vastness of this is like, am I doing something that's going to leave an impact when I'm gone, And I have, like you've mentioned, and I've been a part of a couple startups in the past as well. I've co-founded 3 different software SaaS B2B companies, which that was super fun. They were all build to sell, and that's exactly what they were. Had a couple of exits, very great. Again, how is that leaving an impact in some sort of beneficial way to others? And when, again, this opportunity kind of presented itself that day 9 months ago, it was like, okay, well, like this could be my reason, sort of. And not just that, but like there's a very real need out west. I mean, the entire state of Utah is in severe drought. There's like 29 counties in Utah. Every single one of them is in drought. 22 of those are in a severe drought. I think every single state currently is within some sort of drought, quote unquote, emergency. It's not just to fulfill my purpose. If that was it, like there wouldn't be a market for it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're in a drought time within the West. And not only that, but I mean, water is an infrastructure building block that we need in every single bit of economic anything, from the data centers that are going to be built to farming. The single thing that's been around forever is growing plants from the ground. We need water for that. We're in a drought. I mean, the alfalfa crop in Utah is one of our large exports out here. And if, they can't water, what are they supposed to do? But so there's a lot of things that went into that kind of like background behind what what we focused on first with Alto Sierra. And that's where the cloud seeding bit came from. And I'm very happy with the decision that we went this path first while building. So
did you have the other sorts of applications in mind when you joined, or when you started looking into doing something like this, or was it just because it's very easy to say like, oh, this kid went out on the slopes, he wanted to ski, it wasn't snow enough, so he goes and starts a company to make it ski, and then you sort of realize like all these other benefits, like, hey, we're not just going to make it snow, we're going to save crops, and we're going to prevent forest fires, and all these things. Like, were you thinking about all that from the very beginning, or did you start to, or is it just I guess you're still thinking of ways that cloud seeding?
Don't get me wrong, I'm still thinking of ways that anything can help. Like, what can we do where we take a person out of that direct line of danger, or just get them out of the field and get them to where they can be more efficient somewhere else. And I think drones are a great platform to do that. I mean, the expanding tech, the advancing everything in the field. I mean, there's a phenomenal group of companies just out in Utah that are pushing the drone tech world boundlessly, and they're doing phenomenal jobs. But yeah, no, I've had the kind of the drone as a service idea for a while. Obviously, there's a couple other people out there doing similar things, but mostly they like to focus on niches, to where I think, especially with the PSA UAS, they have a phenomenal platform. I mean, you see Dan every day. He's the smartest guy I think I know. And there's great guys behind the company already that can make these things work. And so when we look at doing other things besides just cloud seeding, like you mentioned, the early wildfire prevention, search and rescue, perimeter surveillance. I don't like the word surveillance, but perimeter. What word am I looking for here? You cut this out. Not surveillance. I'm gonna scratch that. But there's a lot more applications that you can go and look at with the drone platform, not just cloud seeding. And I think that opens up our cap as a company to where we have exponential growth that can happen. There's scaling that will continuously happen for years and years and years to come, because we're not capping ourselves by just looking at one single industry. We're looking, okay, how can we use this platform to then benefit countless others? And we're not just going to build it and sell it. It's a build and then operate structure. We can go build a drone that's perfect for this operation, and then say Billy and his family need it here. We're not just going to dump it off and say, hope you figure it out. I know you're not a professional drone pilot or an operator or an engineer, but you can probably get it all together. We stick around and we do that operation for you. That's where I think a lot of value is going to come from, not just from one specific niche.
Yeah, so I like it. Drones as a service, right? So are we calling that DAS? What are we going with?
I think we have to.
DAS, DOS, yeah, either one, right?
DAS, DOS, yeah.
So that, I mean, just hearing that, it's easy to get excited about anything as a service, right? Because you're like,
Absolutely.
Okay, I get into it and I'm like, yeah, I have this specific need, but also I've got the same hardware and the same software that applies to these 100 other things, right?
Exactly.
So what was that like when you had that aha moment? And then how are you taking that and deciding what markets or applications to go after first, right? It sounds like there's a little bit of balance of there's some saving the world, greater good aspect to it, but then there's also some profitability aspect of it too, right? Where if you're a ski resort that doesn't want to lose a ton of money next year, so you've got to make it snow, versus
exactly
the save the world example, where it's like, okay, I know we have no snowpack this year, so how can I make sure that we don't have a terrible forest fire year? So what's that sort of balance on your end?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, things cost money, so we're looking more instead of what's profitable, but instead what's scalable. Which one of these services can we go out, scale, offer sustainably, and be able to execute on? I think, again, cloud seeding was the perfect start for that, just because there's a need for it, there's a budget for it. We can scale it rather quickly and efficiently, and arguably better than others have. And we won't have any sort of like drag in that area, to where in other areas, I do need to go kind of dig more deeper into research around the topic, find those key players in the industry already. A lot of consulting and goes into these things. And I mean, in the other three industries we're currently building out, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of conversation. It's a lot of talking to those key players, those decision makers in the states and the municipals. And it's a lot of meeting with those policymakers and having those conversations, sitting down in their offices, meeting them wherever they need to be met, in DC, out here in California, wherever they are, and have those hard conversations where it's like, there's a need here. This is what we're trying to do. Blah, blah. How do we work together? And how do we, at the end of the day, we all have a common goal. And it's for each industry, it's less wildfires, quicker response times. It's more water, more snow. It's at the end of the day, though, it's keeping people safe. And how can we do that with a drone?
Yeah. So walk me through some of the go-to-market a little bit. So when we talk about drones as a service, and I'm going to be very basic about it, right? So if I'm sitting here, I own a ski resort, and I'm looking up like, gosh, how can I sort of control my own season a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
I stumble upon a cloud seeding article, and then I'm like, oh, now I've got a cloud seeding company I can reach out to. So someone reaches out to you, they sort of explain the pain points and say, hey, how can I make it snow like crazy in this 5-mile radius all winter long, right? And then you work backwards and say, okay, here's the location, so we've got the hardware, the drone on the drone side, like, what Danny and the team are building at PSA, some of the software stuff as well. Who flies those drones? Then who, sort of deploys, manages? What's that whole experience look like for the end user, when they bring you all on board?
Yeah. When somebody reaches out, just have it a couple times already, usually what happens is wherever they are, we'll do a sit down and talk like, hey, this is what we're doing. At the end of the day, I'm not selling you snow. I'm not here to take your money and make sure it snows more at your resort. At the end of the day, we're looking for water for the quote unquote infrastructure of the world we live in, the West. And we're in a drought and we have no water. We have less water. So that's what I first want to make sure that everybody understands is I'm not here to sell you snow. We're not here. We're going to go seed regardless of if you're paying us for it. The biggest thing that we look for is some sort of partnership or in a partnership with those ski resorts, those other private entities is, all right, like we're a database company. This is how we're doing it, where we're doing it, why we're doing it, when we're doing it. And then it's a sharing of data. How do you measure that? This is how we're measuring it. It's how much of the agent are you using? And the more data that's shared between the two people, the better, the more transparency, great. Besides that, I'm not gonna lie, I just blanked on the backhand of your.
You're good. We got good editors here.
I hear. Hardcore blanked on the back end of your question.
Well, you've only had how many hours of sleep have you had? 2?
Not a lot. 2.
Not a lot. Yeah. So I think it might be a good place to dive into like a little bit is to talk about, it's really, I can sense your passion for this in the last 20 minutes, right? So everybody wants to be, to work on something they're so passionate about. And it makes it easy to put in those, long hours and long days, right?
Absolutely.
What has that been like for you to sort of, to experience that? And have you experienced it before? Right? It's one thing to go work.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not picking on Rivian, but like, you can go to Rivian and you can put in your 9 to 5 as a mechanical engineer and like, you're like building cool cars, right? I would love a Rivian. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like this thing that you're working on now is so different and so cool. And like you're running the show. So what do you feel responsibility? Do you feel overall excitement? Like what's that feeling like for you?
I am so stoked, to say the least. I'm from the pre kind of interview when we were just sitting chatting. I am very excited about this. It's a lot of fun. And like you said, might not be sleeping a lot because there's a lot of work to do. And currently, like all of us are wearing a lot of hats. I'm having a blast. Like there's nothing I'd rather be doing. Maybe skiing, but it's summer, so it's a good time to go build. But or scale, I guess. But no, absolutely. Like I've definitely felt this a similar level of excitement, especially when I worked at Rivian. We were in startup mode, and we moved into a new factory in Central Illinois that had absolutely nothing in it, and it was got to watch it go from literally an empty warehouse into this massive factory that's pushing out 100 cars a day with 12,000 employees. Like that was super cool to watch.
I'm
RJ
sure.
Carnage, awesome guy, super cool, super just inspiring to like be around, listen to him talk, see him on the factory floor, especially in those early days when we were ramping everything. And that's kind of how I'm feeling here, except I have that sense of ownership to where like, yes, this is something that I am building that will have my name on it, that is stamped with my face, and how can we make it as absolutely great as possible? And not just great in the sense that like we're doing something high and mighty by helping create more water, or like end that water scarcity in the West. But also, how can we just make this a great company where people want to come enjoy their work days and spend their 9 to 5s? Because at the end of the day, like that's what they're going to be here to do. Is it's a job at the end of the day. How can we make it as fulfilling as possible, as enjoyable as possible, and feeling like you're really making an impact in some way? And so that's kind of what I'm more searching for when it comes from that side of things.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, super inspiring to hear. All right, so let's dive into a little bit about the PSA Alto Sierra
Hmm.
partnership.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've learned a little bit on how you met Mike and how that all happened, but
Hmm.
let it talk a little bit about. Or I hate to say talk a little bit about, but explain how you knew that this was the right partnership and what sort of competitive advantage it gives you in the
Yeah,
space.
absolutely. At the end of the day, we're drone as a service. So the biggest thing of this company is we need a drone that works. And it's not going to be a one drone fits all solution. It'll be a fleet per se, a drone for each industry, each occasion, whatever. But at the end of the day, I know I'm good at tech. You know how to scale businesses and work in business development. What I don't know how to do is how to build a good drone. Who do I know that builds good drones? That's Mike McHale. And so when we reached out to him and started talking about this, it was for the specific reason of how do we make this company competitive in any space? And that is, you got to do it better, faster, cheaper. So how do we do it better? Well, we already have a company that's building our drones with a track record of government contracts. They've been around for years. They're already building this platform. It's in the field. It's tested. We know it works. Well, that checks the better portion. We already got better. The faster, I mean, Dan and the team can scale something pretty quickly. When it comes to iterations, when it comes to variations of that drone platform, we're going through testing, we're going through design very quickly, efficiently, and we're building a phenomenal platform for what we're going to end up using this winter, next year, and the years to come. Um, and then lastly, we're not building these drones with hobbyist parts. We're not going out and figuring it out on our own. Uh, we've got a manufacturer where you guys are out east that can build all of them, and it makes that step just a little bit more competitive for us. So we're not pinching and rolling about, oh, how much is this going to cost? We gotta fix this, but it might take a couple weeks. Now we can do it in house immediately. Custom sensors, custom end effectors, deployment systems per se. Um, and we can roll a lot faster than if we would have had to do this all from scratch, or if we would have had to go figure it out ourselves, or bring on a team and then build that team up and then get them all together to figure this stuff out on their own. Instead, again, we've got Mike's team, Dan's team, and we're able to run pretty quickly with that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it allows you to focus more on the why and not
Exactly.
so much on the how, right? It's like you could have this great
Exactly.
idea of like, I want to do this, this, and this, and I know I need this, but I don't know
Hmm.
how to build that. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think that's a really important part and a great great piece of leverage for you, right? Because you'll
Yeah.
always have the latest and greatest technology on the drone side, thanks to Danny and the team. Yeah, I mean, I know you joked about it before that Danny's one of the smartest guys that I mean, he's definitely one of the smartest guys I know. Spent some time
Yeah.
with him last week, and walked in. There were 30 drones sitting on the conference table, right? And the team, what they're doing is amazing. Can you explain in you know, I guess in layman's terms, for lack of a better word, what these drones will look like? I mean, it's not the typical drone that you see flying through, flying over the Great Salt Lake, right? Getting some cool pictures. These drones are, basically like airplanes that just
pretty cool.
Go up in the air, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I won't touch too much on it until our first season goes well and all that testing stuff.
Yeah.
But we're using a VTOL fixed wing platform. We chose this for a variation of reasons. Fixed wing, we can get a bigger payload, we can get a longer flight time. Worst case scenarios, we can kind of drift back down to the ground, save some of that battery life. At the end of the day, it gets stable at higher altitudes while carrying at speed. So there's a lot that we see, especially in testing, that we saw that, hey, like this will work better than a different platform. So yeah, it won't be like the drones you see out taking pictures or doing little cinematic shots. These will be purpose built machines for this scenario.
Yeah, and I think we both fly a lot, right? So when I'm thinking about it this way, whenever you're on a flight and it starts to, the turbulence starts, you're like, oh, we must be in the clouds, right? So imagine flying like one of those little drones up there, right? It would just get destroyed. So
yeah, I mean we've seen tests that with great wind speed and what happens when a storm kicks up crazy winds like that. I wouldn't want a little thing that could be a very big bowling ball coming back to the ground, getting blown around up there. That's scary for me. Outside of all the safety and everything, I wouldn't want to be with the controller standing underneath that. So
yeah, you can't have it landing in a parking lot, right? I mean,
nope.
Or crashing in a parking lot.
Pretty bad. So, it would look pretty bad. Yeah.
And it's funny because I used to fly a lot from the East Coast to the West Coast, and even when we're talking about some of these areas that are going to be quote unquote focus areas, those are some of the most turbulent areas in the sky, right? On a cross country flight. It's like, oh, we must be flying over Telluride, or we must be flying over the Rockies, right? And things like
Absolutely.
that. So how much of that actually went into sort of your R&D, right? It's like you're flying into the kind of the choppiest air.
Oh no, 100%. All the simulations.
That makes no sense, tell me I'm an idiot, and we'll for sure.
It makes enough sense. Throughout R&D, from like the brainstorming sessions we had with teams, simulations, past and ongoing, there's a lot of things that go into that, and genuinely, like dirty air per se is something you want to consider, especially when we're flying these drone platforms into storms, developing whatever. It's a storm cloud that could produce precipitation. It might get volatile up there. A lot of test situations, especially like summer tests, summer operations are in our future. Those can get pretty intense, and it's like, how do we be prepared for, at the end of the day, the worst? You got to cover all the bases. I don't want to have a storm that could produce, a great amount of snow, a great amount of water at the end of the day, and not be able to fly it because our platform isn't hardy enough for it, or wouldn't be able to sustain itself at those winds. So we want to make sure that this thing can handle anything we throw at it, or Mother Nature throws at it.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. And then, I think that makes a ton of sense. What do these missions look like? Is it, and feel free to get into as much or like as little as you want, but what goes into a mission on, say, the tech side of things?
We've got our meteorologist team. Our meteorologists will analyze these incoming storms and say, hey, like this is something that we have X plausibility of seeding and getting a good result from it. Let's go launch. We get that go ahead. If it's part of the criteria that gives us a go, we go. That what the go looks like is a fleet of 5 to 15 drones. Those drones go out with our seeding agent, and we throw them up in the atmosphere and seed as much as we can in that super cool pocket of liquid. And ideally to, get a good result of a lot of snow coming down or rain.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm just picturing like a local weatherman, just hitting a button. It's like, all right, go get them. Like, it's the button.
Pretty close.
The drones take off, like the weather guy in some command center. I think that's cool. With the radar all over the.
It's a weather lady.
Weather lady. Sorry. Weather person. No, we'll go with
Weather
that.
person.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, what else do you want? As we wrap up here, I know we're running out of time, but what else do you want folks to know, about you or the brand or, just what you're trying to do in general?
I'd say the only other like little point that like we haven't touched on is specifically for cloud seeding. It's how do you measure that? How do you see the after effects of what you've done with a storm, putting drones up into the atmosphere or into the storm system and seeding in the right spots? How do you then go and do you go stick a ruler in the snow and say, well, the guy on the TV said 4 inches and there's 8, so we did something? Well, no, there's a lot of factors to consider. There's lake effect storms out here in Utah, where that warm air coming off the cold or off the lake hits that cold front coming in. Super bloom storms, and it's awesome. All skiers, if you go talk to anyone that's ever skied the Wasatch Range out here in Utah, and you say something about lake effect storms, it's oh man, I dream about them. It's awesome. I mean, you could have a storm that's predicted to drop 4 inches, drop 20 inches, and it's mind blowing stuff, and it's awesome. Anyway, I'm digressing here, but it's a good question of how do you then go and measure how much snow or how much water you created. There's studies past year, I believe, that hypothesized with radar pointed at your seeding area in a storm coming in, you can see a plume created by this storm.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, so before we let you go here, one final question. What are the next 12, 24 months, look like? I know in kind of startup world, that's, you never know, but if everything goes as planned here, what do the next 24 months look like?
Yeah. And the short answer to that is scale, scale, scale. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up this winter. We've got more fun stuff targeted for this next coming summer of 2027. We fully expect to, if not triple, but quadruple in size by the next summer, and have year-round operations going on within Alto Sierra. It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of growth, and it's a lot of speed. So I'm very, very lucky and fortunate to have someone like Mike on the team that's been there, that's scaled these companies, that's seen incredible growth after receiving these first contracts. And so I'm super excited for the future. I'm very stoked on the team we've already kind of got together. More stoked on the PSA partnership. But the next 12, 24 months, it's going to be a ride. It's going to be really fun. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to following. I mean, it's something I had no idea about until a couple weeks ago, right? Like, what are we talking about? It's all really exciting, and I think the next time we do one of these, we'll do it on the slopes out there in Salt Lake City.
I agree.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything.
Absolutely.
I mean, we'll be checking in for sure. We'll have you on again here real soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome.